Sambuddhasse Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse Punaca parang auso bhikkhu aradha viryo virati akusalanam dhammanam pahanaya kusalanam dhammanam upasampadaya thānvādalla parakkamo anikitta dhuro kusalesu dhammesu titi. Dear Dhamma friends, as introduced in the first talk, we have to discuss 10 points, or otherwise, as far as the protection is concerned, there are 10 points one must know theoretically. It is coming under that particular sutta known as Sangiti Sutta. That means often we have to remember them, recite them, and keep it in our fresh memory. That is the way we can protect all the good qualities, all the merits that we have already prepared. So now we have come to the point where the energy aspect of the yogi is being discussed. So after yesterday's introduction of the good livelihood or way of living, if someone is ready to reconsider one's attitudes towards one's own requisites, namely 4 requisites, he or she will be more moderate, economical, and then only one is suitable to think about one's own energy. If someone is not concerned about their way of life, one's way of life or livelihood, that means he or she is misusing the energy and ultimately come out with a lot of criticism, telling not enough time, not enough money, not enough places and all the kind of thing. That is not due to the, of course, the external factors, basically due to one's own livelihood. If someone is not concerned, if one is not ready to reconsider it, definitely throughout we find him fault with the external factors. But when someone is reshuffling, reconsidering and adjusting one's moderate life, then enough space, enough time, enough money, enough energy will come into being. And that is the point where Venerable Sariputta is verily pointing out what must be the one's attitudes towards one's own energy. Munate parang also bhikkhu aradha viryo virati. When and where meditator or full-time meditator or a bhikkhu or a monk, aradha viryo virati, always with the diligent effort, always with ever strive to arouse energy. That means he is more living. Otherwise, you are always maybe the other side of that aroused energy, that means very lethargic, lazy bones, or sloth and torpor. So, when and where someone is changing from this sluggish, slimy, lethargic nature to this diligent, aroused energy, it is not single factor, it is not attributable to a single factor like the mental factor like energy, but it is interrelated with a lot of other things. The immediate thing is your livelihood. More and more you adjust your livelihood more towards the solitude and this economical way of living, the energy will be slowly more available, and that very energy come into being has to be monitored, has to be geared in order to make more and more protected. So once you aroused the energy, that is to get rid of the, as much as possible, unwholesome mental state in one stream of consciousness. That's one side or one part of the story. The other one is to establish the wholesome states already arisen in the stream of consciousness. So therefore, energy as a mental factor, or energy as one quality in your meditative life, has multi-various functions with respect to the wholesome and unwholesome states. In this particular quotation, it talk about the wholesome and unwholesome. One has to take care about getting rid of unwholesome as well as establishment of the wholesome state. But if you go deep into other discourses the Buddha delivered, the unwholesome states also have two facets. One thing is already arisen unwholesome, and other thing is potential to be arise. Two kinds. So when and where you become specialized, you just never understand unwholesome state in a gross way. It can be divided into two ways. One thing is what is already in your stream of consciousness. That is what you call cure and healing. The other one is prevention, that possible potential unwholesome states that you have to do away with by prevention. So the preventive part of the unwholesome state is what you call the moral restrainment. So if you are not concerned about the preventive part, and if you keep doors open for again and again for the unwholesome state to come freely into a stream of consciousness, whatever the mindfulness that you are going to work, or whatever the measures you are going to keep your stream of consciousness clear, it won't work. So therefore it has to do in two frontiers. One thing is preventive, the other one is curative or healing kind of thing. So first and foremost you have to understand that your moral restrainment, whereby you have taken a determination not to commit transgressional kind of commitments or trespassing the social norms. That means killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, and your verbal misdeeds, and intoxication, to name the 5 precepts. So that is to keep your stream of consciousness not to get infested again and again by the wholesome or defilements, wholesome states. So that is what you call the Buddhist culture. That is what you call the gentlemanship. That is what you call the affable nature of a person, and that is the best if it is possible to pass into our second generation. And therefore, first and foremost, you must taste it. And that is because the society at large is not in appreciation of that kind of a state. They are in pleasure principle, so killing is sportsmanship. If you are not killing, you are not sporting. And robbing is from the top of the government layers to the down, everyone is robbing. But they are using different terms in order to express it. So the robbing, the misappropriation is a very common thing. And sexual misconduct, it's utter failure if you are going to talk on this subject in the Western countries. They never consider anything as misconduct. They everything consider as conduct. Because if the animal can do in such a way, why can't we? We are more privileged. Animal has no marriage, animal has no particular partner, and so why not? And therefore, in the Western countries, very difficult. So therefore, they don't interpret this as misconduct. And so therefore, if Brahmanis or some society or some small group is going to be more moral, definitely they will be black sheep. They will be going against the grain. So that is why I mentioned the term, the determination, and the lying, slandering, harsh words, and tail carrying. That is what does it mean by the mass media. Totally misleading. never they report the truth. So therefore, as much as possible, if you keep away, so much so you feel peace. So when we are in a full-time retreat, we try to keep away from all the media. So how much we feel like a family. We feel like in the same family because we are the only people associated, so we trust each other. We never take time to look into the this and that, and our stream of consciousness or mind also not quantified. So imagine how much it will be helpful if we can just cut off media, but they are so crafty. Even if you are in a forest, they creep it. I remember there was one time, maybe 1977, there was an article regarding the television. Article was named as Tube of Illusion, and that's the first time about to introduce this Tube of illusion to Sri Lanka. And one person has done a survey beforehand, and they found that Sri Lanka, no television. So children are associated with the mothers and parents at the classroom, teachers and the students, everything happening like a family. And now they are about to take advanced stage toward the high technology to introduce the Tube of Illusion. And then what will going to happen? One step, forward step, you can never take it back. And in that sense, they told there's one province in America at that time, there is no signals. Televisions are available, no signals, and they have done a social survey in a place where signals available, every household is with a TV at that time, basically black and white TV, and that particular province, no TV. And they found the family misunderstanding between the family, understanding among the villages are very high in the place where there is no televisions. And being so, countries like Sri Lanka, third world country, introduced television as kind of an advancement. So that is the world view. Being so, if someone take a conscious decision not to get addicted to this kind of a verbal kind of a misuse, get indulged in the verbal kind of this thing, it's a conscious decision, it's a hard thing. And do away with the intoxicants, then you appear like backward, you are barbaric, you are not going for parties and not going for drinks or any intoxication. This is why the spiritual circles, they say first and foremost prevention. Your moral integrity, moral responsibilities to oneself, do away with what is called the possible unwholesome state to be prevented with. So that is also a kind of energy, it is called related with your livelihood, and that is the one most important and very difficult to do, difficult to draw constitutions or rules and regulation to keep the society at large under control. Then it appears like something unhuman. But as an individual, one can assume these kind of things for the sake of culture or gentlemanship and kind of a responsibility. Then only and only then the mindfulness can going to be very effective. The mindfulness is the aspect which is going to take care about the unwholesome state which is already arisen in your stream of consciousness. So therefore, whenever someone is trying to understand the term meaning of mindfulness, the definition, one has to know, to start with mindfulness, you can't expect a pure stream, clean, pure stream of consciousness with full cleanness. You try as much as possible not to do, or do restraint regarding the morality, and when you are observing your stream of consciousness under the light of mindfulness, you can see a lot of already arisen defilements. So that is advanced state of the energy, and that is to say you are not just mere Buddhist, but you are a meditator. Then only you are ready to see the stream of consciousness as your prime task. And it is a very bold, very advanced stage. Someone to look into one's own stream of consciousness, and some people, they have no guts, they have no heroic energy to see into that, to look into that, to be face to face with the stream of consciousness. For such people, find mindfulness has no any meaning, or they can't, difficult to define it or to understand it. That is maybe because they are morally not integrated, not responsible. For such people, even the mindfulness introduced, it won't get established, implanted. But those who are already in a certain amount of moral restraint, they find mindfulness is going to give a kind of a deeper cleaning, which is already done for the possible defilements, that mindfulness is going to work with already available defilements. So that part, we can see, that is the point where we are trying to enter into the very fast evolution, which has already stopped about 40 million years ago. So human nation came through the natural selection, and there were a lot of advancement happened and later stagnated, no go. We are in a rut. But when and where you do moral restraint, and on top of that, if you are going to take up this mindfulness as one of your prime tasks, then that evolution is going to accelerate. So for that, the energy which we explain for that moral restraint is not enough to take it up this second dose, the second stage, that is to say mindfulness. For that, the precise aiming and the diligent effort both has to come in hand, then only one can understand the morality that you defined as transgressional level, that not to violate the norm, social norms. Now we have to redefine under the term of mindfulness. When you assume sitting posture, for example, not only that you are not transgressing social norms, you try your best to do away with all the willful action, all the intentional action, all the determinations, and just let the nature to run, or just being, and full searchlight of mindfulness or diligence, just to see, without my will, without my volitional activity, what does it mean by just being? So there are the volitional transgressions, volitional violation of the social norms known as culture. But when you come to the not to do any kind of thing on an experimental basis, it's called mind culture. You are compromising with the mind. I will do away with all the volitional activities, voluntary activities, and try just be, just sit comfortably, symmetrically, and focus the attention towards your stream of consciousness, or just being, or just the present moment, and see what is happening. And then you can see, even though you have no any contribution towards the willful action or volitional activities, the life is running without any hindrance. Things never find any difference whether you are willfully connected or not. Then only you will understand that is happening not due to your will. You will also come on top of that and sometimes mess up everything. But without any kind of thing, the life, that the existence, the being can happen. Usually it happens in your dreams and in your sleep. But here you observe without attributing, without contributing any will, any volition, any determination, any kind of intention. Just see what is happening. And then only you can see what is the cross-section of the present being. And to report exactly what you can see is so difficult because we have a choice. We think this must not. This ought to happen, this ought not. That is the point. We becoming disqualified yogis or disqualified mindful practitioners. The person, whoever may be, if he or she can express, when I observe the stream of consciousness without any willful action, this is what I experience, this is what I feel. He or she must be fully enlightened to have an honest, short to the point report. Because we are so screening, so judgmental, so in the choice, we think this must happen, this must not. That means our mindfulness is not consistent, it is not continuous, it is not non-judgmental. So therefore, even then that effort is worthwhile. So throughout the discussion, throughout the interviews and Dhamma talks, everything what going to communicate is just observe what is happening, and if possible report exactly what you have seen, and then the other party can easily see the cross section without your judgmental complications. This is difficult. This is difficult because it is self-negative. It promote any kind of a conceit. It won't give any economical, political or any materialistic gain. So therefore, one to just to go in front of a mirror and see your nature as such. The mirror must be just reflecting, it must not be a concave or convex. But your mirror is always convex or concave. So therefore, never it represents a simple mirror. So therefore, whatever you see is already enlarged or already shrink. So therefore, one thing is your responsibility towards your honesty, and the other thing is there are engraved, inbuilt cheating nature in the mind, perverted nature in the mind. So therefore, whatever it sees itself is exaggerated. So keep on practicing, try to keep the primary object as the benchmark or pivotal point, see again and again the same primary object, and when and where you are to continuously observe that very thing you see, very thing you saw, now it is becoming otherwise. And this facet, when you see again become next thing and otherwise, changing in such a way, so you find difficult to put into a frame, difficult to put into one label, difficult to put into one side. It's fast changing. Ultimately you feel it is something psychological upset. You think something wrong with my mind or something wrong with the object, because it never fit into your permanent notion. It's so changing. So therefore, when and where the mindfulness come into being, your whole argumenting, your whole value system, your whole attribution with the labels and sign and everything threatened. So therefore, never you are ready to accept this as a fact. Not only that, you are utter failure to report to someone. And ultimately you consider this as your mistake. You consider it is something only to myself. But whenever you see the whole humanity, that is the case. So therefore, in the mindfulness, the second gear, whereby understanding the unwholesome states, what is available in the mind as such, without assuming this as me, without assuming this as mine, without assuming this as myself, whenever you report that very honest reporting going against the establishment of unwholesome states. So therefore, whatever you observe, you must have ability to report as it is without assuming, and as far as you are not assuming, the inflicting nature of the unwholesomeness reduces. Moment you assume, moment you judgmental, moment get committed, the unwholesome thing become inflicting, torturing, burning, tension, frustration. Because unwholesomeness is torturing nature. But you assume that, you get committed to them, and because that you interpret this unwholesome as me, mine and myself. So therefore mindfulness itself, right from the beginner's mind, increasing, it's redefining going to take place. So this is being, this tried to put into literature or theoretical presentation or in a stage-wise presentation. Moment you see, moment you encounter, moment you avenue with an object, the first impression you are going to get is happening through your undeveloped mind, uncultured mind, unmeditated mind. So therefore you try to get the impeachment. It is permanent, it is pleasurable, it is me, it is mine. So therefore, if you are going to talk anything about with the first impression, that is always nitya, sukha, subha, atma. It is permanent, it is pleasurable, it is auspicious, it has its own nature. So therefore, that you are honest, your simplicity is there. But the Buddha is never denying it. He says, please wait, look at the same thing again. And then you see, you find 2-3 times when you are observing the same thing, the boredom sets in, the monotony sets in, and you feel like it is not dramatic, and therefore you feel like get up and go. That means you do not like, you are not happy to see the evolutionary nature or flux or changing nature of the thing. You try to attribute the permanent nature, auspicious nature, pleasurable nature, and the soul attribution is there. So in the energy what you need in order to facilitate this mindfulness is repetitive application. This is what the untrained mind considers something defeated, something boring, something monotonous, something sleepy, something slimy, something sloth and torpor. So therefore meditation centers are the best place for people to sit and sleep. If you have any problem regarding insomnia, go to a meditation center, definitely you can sleep. Because that we try to keep the same object again and again, it is against the grain. So this monotony, the boredom, the sleepiness, it appears like it's unavoidable culprit or devil. So therefore you have to understand the difference between the diligent mind and the sliding mind. Sloth and torpor and the energy. So that will never come into being, never surface, never manifest, unless otherwise you meditate. If you have a day-to-day activities, you are full of challenges and full of multitasking, you are very bright and you are up to the mark. But when and where you try to apply to the same object, the sleepiness represent that meditation is working. Monotony sets in, boredom sets in, but you hate and everyone look down that he is not a meditator, he is sleeping like. So therefore, this relationship between this awakened mind and the sleepiness, in Sinhala it is very easy to explain, buddhu venawa, buddhi venawa. It's a very close terms, but in English I am not so rhetoric and I have much of examples to say. Whatever it may be, you have to understand whenever you introduce this meditation as such, or repetitive application into one object, you can see the lethargic nature. That means mindfulness is working. But you are not to improve, you are to facilitate, not to appreciate it, but to see how the technique is. When and where you see one object at one time and going to interpret, that is called the face value, first impression. That is generally Buddha says, Nitya Sukha Subha Atma. It appears that is there, is permanent, it is auspicious, it is pleasurable, and has its own nature. But if you have to see the same thing again and again and again, that very beauty, that very trustworthiness, that very auspicious nature is no more. That is why there is a lot of divorces in the Hollywood films. First impression is very good. And they go on and marry. And when you are associating the same person again and again, that beauty is no more. And again, divorce. And after 4 divorces, time going to the same person again. So this is the vicious cycle in the world. So therefore, in the meditation or mindfulness added or mixed up with energy, you have to understand this is not the way our mind is working. Mind is jumping from one object to the other like a mad monkey. But instead, in the meditation, what you do is we consider we consider religious and spiritual and take neutral object, verifiable object, and apply again and again. When it's applying, you see the kind of energy you need is not what you understood in the moral sphere. It's more technical. It's a more adverted into one particular task, and that one has to understand. The energy that you exert in order to be a moral person is not enough to be a meditator. Whenever you, specifically when you are going to introduce mindfulness, that it is asking very mobilized kind of energy, very technical kind of energy, adverting to the object, and meanwhile, if you go prepared, when and where the object becomes face to face, the boredom is the immediate effect. The monotony, the uncertainty, the fearfulness or loss of the orientation is going to happen. That is not a mistake, but a good sign. But you must not promote it. You must understand, in order to keep the face-to-face with the object, as well as not to succumb to the sloth and torpor, there's a kind of a very double-fold boost dose of energy is necessary. So that one, at the beginning, no one possessed by nature, not inbuilt. By repetitive application only you are going to have it. So theoretically it says, soon you see an object, you see individual characteristics, they are discrete, they are delimited, they are separate from this and that. But when you apply again and again and again to the same, ultimately these individual characteristics dissolve into common characters. More and more you go to the common character, whether you start with the rising and falling, or whether you start with the anapanasati or in-breath and out-breath, or whether you start with the walking meditation, never mind, whenever the mind goes to the common character, your object, your sign, your labeling become invalid, immaterial, everything dissolves into the common character. When it is happening, there is a huge change in your mind itself. It appears like something changing. The object also changing. When it is happening, your meditating mind also going to take into the higher degree, one upmanship, one upliftment going to happen. So the particular person may not be in a position to understand what is happening to the mind, but the way he or she is explaining the changes happen to the object is a good sign to say whether mind is undergoing some kind of a change. That is called not the initial kind of energy, that is called kind of a fulfillment kind of energy, or upliftment kind of energy is going to happen. So that particular person is more vigilant naturally, more diligent naturally, more energized naturally. Otherwise, he or she can't keep the pace with this meditation. So let me explain little about what does it mean by individual characteristics and the common characteristics. Let me explain through the in-breath and out-breath. So whenever a beginner try to keep the breath, the in-breath and out-breath in face-to-face, it is not an easy task because mind is wandering and you're going for sounds and pains and thoughts and all the kind of distractions. So to make the long story short, we'll say some of the other, you manage to keep the in-breath and out-breath face-to-face, and more you practice, you may find the time duration you can keep the pace with the in-breath and out-breath increases. That is your endowment, that is your gift. So then, to lead you, to guide you through these individual characteristics, teachers and the meditation aphorisms and the guidelines is, when and where you face in-breath and out-breath, try to catch as much as possible natural characteristics of that in-breath versus out-breath, discreetly, deliberately. Don't say in-breath and out-breath, tell what is under your very nose experience of the in-breath and out-breath, and leading them, asking them and pushing them to discreet them. And supposing the yogi, the practitioner, keeps so much of diligent effort, when and where in-breath happens, try to see whether it is experience-wise different from the out-breath. When the out-breath happens, to see whether it is experience-wise different from the in-breath. Not only mere observation, there is a kind of inferential calculation. There is a kind of a rational understanding must be there. At the beginning it is supported by the theoretical understanding. More and more you practice, you are forced to have your own inputs. And if he or she will stay ready to say, I feel in-breath is little cooler when compared to out-breath is a little warmer. Well, that is the way we introduce the subject. And ask not to see only one dimension, try to see different facets. And he will say, in-breath is short, out-breath is longer, or out-breath is shorter, in-breath is longer, or it is happening like a vibration, or it is like a waves, or it's like a very calm and quiet action, or start with slow motion and end up with the fastness, or start with the very fast motion and end up with the slow motion. Like a lot of manners are there. So that is being promoted as if try to get an exhausting list so that you can discriminate in-breath and out-breath. That means more and more you see details or intrinsic characteristic, personal characteristics, the distance between the object and the mind becomes shorter and shorter. Mind becomes very immediate with the object. You are not only just observing, you are peeping into. When you go, you must have so much of energy to keep the pace. Otherwise it appears very boring and what gain, for what gain? But if he or she is very enthusiastic, properly understand the instruction, keep on practicing, what he or she is going to get is the intrinsic characteristic, natural characteristic, personal characteristic, then and there characteristic, under the nose characteristic. Till that your mind is not sharp. And if it is happening, there is a magical thing taking place that is also unexpected. That is to say, your breath become, the gross breath become little subtle. And because you need not much of energy, mind is calm, body is calm, and the breath also becomes subtle. And when and where the gross breath, the longer breath becomes shorter and subtle, for example, your discrimination between the in-breath and out-breath slowly disappears. You try to see, it is find difficult, hardly to see the difference between, but you are dead sure mindfulness is intact. You are face to face with the breath, but the individual characteristics become fade off. Ultimately you find in-breath also like a vibration, out-breath also like a vibration, or in-breath also like a warmness and coldness mixture, and more you to see immediacy under your very nose with so much of diligent effort. Ultimately their discrimination disappears, you feel the breath, and verily you will witness no difference between in-breath and out. That means their common characteristics came out, individual characteristic disappear. And when that happens, you find your early mistakes and the acceleration and the momentum of the mindfulness together with backup energy is a rare coincidence in the meditative life. When it is happening, the mindfulness make the object and the mind moving in the same speed, same vibration, and therefore the dead sure you are mindful. And if you are sharp enough, you can say still the concentration is there, but the object appear faded off. The discrimination between in-breath and out-breath goes, but you are dead sure you are not dead. Breathing takes place, but its characteristics change from the individual characteristics to the common character. When that happens, your peak of your meditative life, or maximum that you can do, is already finished. And next day you start with the gross in-breath and out-breath, but you know, if you are to observe the same thing again and again, they are not only the face value, even the seeing through, the discrimination disappears, and ultimately going to end up with just a vibration, just a flux, or just like a TV screen without the program, dots, or like a mirage, or like a glare in the sea. So when it is happening, you are at the peak of your boredom, at the peak of your monotony, at the peak of your disinterest. Because that is, you can't discriminate, you can't name it, you can't label it, you can't attribute anything, because it's just a flux, it's just a wave of energy. And to maintain that state without entertaining doubts, without falling into sleep, without forced breathing, and without stopping the meditation at that time, it's a rare opportunity or rare coincidence, or you can say an accident. And then you can understand that one object at least have two facets as far as the reality is concerned, the conventional reality, that is to say individual characteristics, and when you see through, it is reduced to the common characteristic, and both of them are valid. Earlier you may fight telling if as far as the one object is concerned, it must have only one characteristics. How can it be otherwise? But when you have this energy going to give enough backing, and when the mind is advancing, you can see the common characteristics as well as the individual characteristics. When that is happening, the labeling, the noting is slowly becoming invalid, unwanted, and now the mind and the mind and the object merging each other, and it is going to happen autopilot. The pilot is not necessary. Now you can put the machine into the autopiloting, and there onward you need very little bit or no energy, because now the momentum started, the acceleration started, and the mind is for rather engaged, and it says mind is penetrated into or pierced into the object, and the object and your meditation and your mind become same, and you don't know whether you are sitting or standing, you don't know what is the time, you don't know what is the space, but you are fully in the object. fully into meditation. So this energy is not available in the supermarket. You can't buy from other side. You can't borrow it from other person. Whatever you have, you can't give it to other person. And it depends on the circumstances. And when and where the variables are ready, or atmosphere is good, you must align them and let that to take, get the momentum, and ultimately experience remains, but you lost. There's an experience, but there is no experiencer. The things are happening. And that point, even if you're going to know, or even if you're going to force breathe, or even if you are going to get up and go, or sometimes mind is cheating and fall into sleep. Of course, if it is going in the proper way, sleeping won't happen. So if such a thing happens, it's a wastage of time. But otherwise you can understand, to initiate and to give the continuity, you have the responsibility. You must know where and when to apply energy, and once that is merged with the object, then you must slowly withdraw, as if a pilot put the machine with autopiloting and still is vigilant and see, and then onward the common characteristics wise, whatever the object, never mind, there is no science, and you understand there onward the meditation is happening automatically or effortlessly, it is going on, and then only then you have to think about the development of wholesome characteristics. Till that, what you are doing is try your best to do away with unwholesome characteristics or unwholesome states of the mind, and more you keep the mind in this autopiloted state, your faith becomes boosted. Your faith, not only the image of the Buddha, not only any sentimental, you understand your faith is on your own past experience, your own experience under your nose. And the kind of energy you understand, it was embedded in you, but you never mobilized so far. Now you know potential is there, but there's a methodology for you to mobilize it. Once mobilized, that is doing the whole, total, wholesome thing. The compassion or loving kindness, not only to you, to the whole. So therefore that mobilizing of that very energy, it is at the beginning a science, and after that point onward it is an art. It's keep on doing, automatically happening. And now if the mindfulness becomes steadfast, you can challenge even a thunderbolt or even anything. You will not shaken, you will be with the mindfulness. And the kind of a concentration you develop, it is not on a single object with the samatha, but whatever the flux going to happen, even no sign, even no object, you find concentration is not shaken. And kind of a wisdom or kind of understanding you have, anything you learn, anything you studied second-hand, this is the first-hand experience. This is what you call the wisdom. This is what you call things they are, as it is. So this you can't communicate with others. You can't write it books. You can't rob. You can't give it to someone. But that is the prime task of a human being. But imagine, out of the human population, what a little fraction at least going to give a try. They are so imbibed, so engrossed with this materiality and the worldly knowledge, and they have no time. They say that we have so much of responsibilities, multitasking, and therefore sorry, we have no time for this kind of thing. But the Buddha says this is the only, or this task is only possible for human beings. It is not common for beasts, not with the other beings, and humankind, they are also find so much of excuses. So they never mobilize their energy, and so much so they want to have so much of multivitamins and other vital amines, and so much of thing in order to keep the mind up. They think everything is outside. No, once the mind come into this paggahita viriya, or the kind of uplifting kind of energy, then only you comes to know the human mind. This is also not the final game, but understand then onward the just maintenance of the state going to give all the wholesome characteristics. Shraddha, the faith, energy, the mobilization of energy, mindfulness without an object, concentration, animitta, no object, even then the concentration is there. And this very knowledge, you come to know it was there from the birth onward. We never manipulated, maybe we never justified it. We never came to face it. But that knowledge never discriminates you, telling that whether you are fostering it or not. So when and where come, these are the qualities it is called Pancha Bala or Pancha Indriya. That means your spiritual qualities, spiritual characteristic or spiritual, we can say, mental factors are going to boost up. But moment you become unmindful, moment you go back to the normal unmindful or unwholesome state, this whole characteristic will be unavailable for a person. But if when and where someone is going to again and again, they will understand it is just hiding but never permanently disappearing, and learn the art how to go into that when and where the conditions are supporting. So this aspect can explain in terms of faith, in terms of energy, in terms of mindfulness, in terms of concentration, and in terms of wisdom. But this aspect today we take under the topic of the energy, and when the energy going to serve this, the collective action, the contributory action of the faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, everything coined together. And when that coining happens, you are no more, but the experience remains so spiritual, it is so transcendental, and it is so whole, it's a wholesome, you can't cut into fragments, and it is there all the way, but the thing is our way, our familiarity to that at the beginning happening very accidentally like. But if you are going to live in leading to live in a wholesome way or with the correct livelihood, the frequency increases. Specifically in a residential retreat, longer one, once you come up to that, the chance for repeating is increasing. That is going to give a lot of confidence, and ultimately you will understand, if you do not know this art and the science, meditation is like the punishment. Sitting 1 hour is so difficult. But once you come up to this situation, you so due to that so-called unproductive sittings only, you will be pushed into this situation, and once that is become somewhat second nature, you never complain about the bad sittings. You know it is also part and parcel of the game, and once in a way, maybe out of 10, 15 sitting, one sitting you can go there, and there you will be fully charged, fully happy, and next sitting you may expect, but it will not be. Again you may complain, telling it is not, but it is nothing but due to the lack of alignment of the factors. So once that is happened, you have a complete reshuffling. If you are skillful enough, you can reconsider about your likings and dislikings. You can reconsider about your personality traits. You can reconsider about your habits and hobbies that you develop so far. You can reconsider about your past karmic forces, how it is working if you are believing on the karma and karma theory, and therefore your reconsiderability, reshifting or shuffling ability become an endowment for you. You are ever changing towards this harmonious action. That does not indicate you are enlightened, you are holy being, or you are transcendent, but as a human being, rationally you reorganize it, and then only you can fulfill the energy aspect. And after this middle amount of energy, energy is going to hand in hand with the wisdom. Your every action will be very wise, well thought of, and every disadvantages you know, every advantage you know, pros and cons, everything going to the bookkeeping. So therefore you can refer back and see these things happen due to my this kind of misarray and not proper arrangement, and that is not a permanent mistake or damage. Again, next I have to try it, and whenever things come into the proper order, things are going to happen. So therefore your dependability on the teacher, dependability on your scriptures, dependability of the other blessings, dependability of the sentiments, dependability of the mystics, slowly shifting into your own past experience. So therefore energy aspect is the most evolving mental factor during your spiritual journey. The Buddha has explained 37 factors of enlightenment. How each and every factor is supporting the spiritual journey, and energy mentioned 9 times. Starting from this, the energy in order to get rid of unreason, unwholesome mental factors, and then applying it to energy to do away with already arisen unwholesome factor, and then to arouse unarisen wholesome factors, and then already arisen wholesome factors to be cultivated. This is how you introduce, and then it undergoes number of evolution, and then when it come up to the Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Vayama, the broad kind of energy is with all the skillfulness, all the mistakes what you have done. So therefore energy aspect repeat or appearing 9 times in this journey. So therefore the person who just start into the spiritual journey, their energy is completely different to an advanced yogi. They are more energized with the energy coupled with wisdom. So therefore, whenever you are to explain it to a newcomer, the beginner, you must understand to give that beginner's kind of lessons, and they can't understand what is the higher evolved kind of energy. So whenever you are reading the beginner's instruction, this is talking of the initiative energy, the embarking energy, and that is consuming so much food. When the journey started, the energy consumption for 1 kilometer is drastically reducing. At the end, the final thing happened without energy. It happens just as a coincidence. The best example the Burmese side gave is when the Apollo 11, the rockets started with Saturn V rockets from the Cape Canaveral to push the whole thing upward and bring the shuttle up to the 6 miles away from the Earth. It is burning 80% of the fuel of the whole journey, just to lift the shuttle away from the gravity. And then it is assumed in the orbit. In the orbit, it is not much consuming energy. If you push the shuttle 6 miles per second, then it is catching the momentum, and it can keep on. Need not much of energy. And from there, it has to burn a rocket to direct it to the moon. And when that journey started, no friction, and it goes through the space. And to whole thing, it's asking only very little energy. Then the shuttle landing on the Earth, on the moon, it needs little energy, and on the way back also very little. But to push the shuttle 6 miles from the earth against the gravity, burning 88% or more of the energy of the journey. But the lay people meditating, they are just going 6 miles and come back home. And again, next day going again. You imagine the wastage. So fuel energy available in the earth is not enough. You just do the difficult task and again go back home. And next day again pull it, again go back home. It says difficult, yes, difficult. Yes. Because you have not gone beyond that, gone beyond the gravity. And then it needs not much of energy. And people, those who are explaining from the gravityless space, the earthly people will say, you are talking nonsense, it is mystics. You see that how much difficult for us to pull it up 5 or 6 miles. And you are talking about this gravityless and the frictionless journey, it is like mystics. No, that is the way energy is evolving. So therefore, one day, you will understand, once it's taken away from this gravity, the gravity here is 5 hindrances. That is enough. And 5 hindrances taken, again going back towards that means your livelihood. If you are not reconsidering the livelihood and making the frictionless path again and again, and what a kind of inefficiency they are, and for that you can't find a mistake outside of you. Your natural craviness, natural desire for this non-sensuous pleasure, even though it is so costly, even though it is so negative, but our condition is pulling back. So therefore, once you have done, accumulated enough your own mistakes or your own experience, you will say bye-bye and they leave it aside. Till that, don't think that difficulties and kind of thing is due to someone else or external factors. It is because of that lack of understanding towards the gravity of the sensuous pleasure. If you understand the gravity, if you understand the profundity, the working in the negative way to the sense pleasure, how much even we are sympathizing it, even though we find the reason outside, telling that due to them and due to that and due to this reason, but it is basically due to craving and the ignorance making this journey difficult. Otherwise, the experience as far as the sense pleasure, as far as sense perception, as far as the materiality or material object, and the calming down and weaning off and waning off the primary object, material object, all of them are in your experience. There is nothing new to add. Only the thing is, once gone there, the return journey, you have to think out. And when and where you try to understand, you find that how much we are disrespect towards our own experience, knowingly we put into the reverse gear. And again we have to start. But when the experience comes one day, one-way journey will start. And that day, your interpretation to the energy will be completely different. Your interpretation toward the mindfulness will be completely different. The Buddha giving discourses with both the experience, but his normal discourses are meant for the beginners. How to arouse this highest energy and to give the launching rocket, to push it from the gravity onward, and then onward, once gone there, the story and the formulas are very simple, but the thing is, this is happening repetitive way, that's the inefficiency. So therefore, mere understanding and mere theoretical knowledge sometimes give urge, sense of urge, how much we are putting again back into the same inefficient level. So therefore, one day we have to take a decision, and that is also part and parcel of this energy. So we are on the way. Everyone is on the way. No one can say I am higher than the other person, I am lower than the other person, because it is a cycle. It is happening in cycles. So one day when and where the energy balance, the alignment happen, the spark will going to take place. That happening of the spark or happening of against the grain journey is ever an accident, never a plan. What we do is we give as much as possible positive factors and let that thing happen. And when it happens, you are with full of bliss. But till that, what you do out of faith, do out of your initial energy, do out of your broken mindfulness, do out of your then and there concentration, do with worldly wisdom, and one day it will end up with the super mundane kind of thing. And when that happens, your interpretation to the normal theoretical understanding will be different, but you can't reject it, because this is the only way we can communicate. This is the only way the Buddha can communicate and the other can communicate. So what you have thought about energy is not the energy in reality. It's a completely different one. Once you practice only, you will understand your own interpretation. So therefore, try to be energetic and arouse it. Don't expect external thing to be arouse your energy. Energy is already there, potential. It's a matter of mobilization. So for mobilization, we have to have theoretical knowledge, and then we have to have our deductive knowledge, and once it put into the practice, then only they become reinforced, they become redefined, and more you practice, you find all the crooked path. Later you can have a very straight shortcuts, and more you understand. Early meditation is like a crucifixion, very difficult, but once the energy aspect is being mastered, it appears like a hobby, it appears like your second nature. So this whole story is capitalistic. Able people can do, others are lost. But can't they? This is the only way available, so therefore strive through. But before stopping, I would like to remind the difference between trying and striving. Trying means you are changing with a different object, different teachers, different meditation places, and all the kind. That's called trying. Striving is you are determined, this is the teacher, this is the object, this is the meditation, I strive through. Trying is utter waste. Striving is accumulating. So therefore, whatever the method you have taken, strive through. When you are striving, you are accumulating energy, that will be your backbone. That will be your backbone for the spiritual journey. Therefore, don't regret about your mistakes. Mistakes are the real teachers, your own intrinsic teachers. So upon that only, the higher grades of energy, higher grade of upliftment or energy kind of going to happen. So whole story, the Buddha presented as to encourage or give more and more aroused energy. So anyone who is talking discouraging and not to arouse, consider this as unwholesome. Anyone encouraging this spiritual journey or arousing, they consider as the true friends or spiritual friend. So this is one of the characteristics Buddha defined. Whole his teaching is to encourage and arouse the energy. So in future, with whatever failure, whatever thing happen to you in mishap, don't talk. Each time you are repeating, your energy will be lost. Talk about only the positivity. Talk about only the love sports. Talk about only the gladness. That is how you attract to the true people and the spiritual friends, and you yourself become a true person or spiritual person. So that must be your attitude, not only to the spiritual part, even in your day-to-day activities. and it will cut off so much of unwanted talks. And that is a huge source of energy, and that will you have to reinvest on this journey. And then onward, most of the difficulties, most of the frictions will be reduced. Hope this talk will be helpful you to reorganize and rethink about your spiritual journey and reach the peace as soon as possible. Thank you very much for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we are going to take a few minutes in terms of sharing merits with all the people, those who organized, seen and unseen, and all the relatives, and all the people, all the beings wish to share this good meritorious deed. With that idea, we are going to recite the Pali stanzas. Those who know may follow, others may listen attentively. Ittavata janammi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu Ittavata janammi sambhatam punya sampadam sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Ittavata janammi sambhatam punya sampadam Sabbe satta anumodantu Pattisiddhya Akasattha Chummattha Devānaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiram Rakkantu Sāsanam Akasattha Chummattha Devānaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiram Rakkantu Nissarana Akasattha Chummattha Devānaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiram Rakkantu Idam ho jnatinam hotu sukhita hontu jnatiyo Idam ho jnatinam hotu sukhita hontu jnatiyo Idam ho jnatinam hotu sukhita hontu jnatiyo Imida punya kammena mami bala samagamo Satam samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo Satam samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo Satam samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.